and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Each part of our meeting has three parts: a prepared speech section, a table topics or impromptu speaking section, and an evaluation section. To start our meeting tonight, I would like to introduce our Toastmaster of the night, who will be Claire, and who will guide us through each segment. Claire, take it away.
Thank you, Napoleon Bonaparte. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another joyous Toastmasters meeting. As we gather together on the eve of Halloween, let's get ready to step out of our comfort zones, face our fears, and bring a little magic to the room. And with that being said, I'll give a treat to our functionaries who will introduce themselves, starting with the counter of the day. And let me check. Is Eliana here?
I'm not sure, but maybe she wasn't able to make it tonight. So
Okay, no worries. Maybe William can cover both counter and grammarian.
All right, just give me a quick second to pull the materials up. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. My name's William, and I will be the counter for tonight. I will be noting words and sounds used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks during the meeting. Words may be inappropriate interjections such as and, well, but, so, you know, and filler sounds may be or er. Moving on to the grammarian portion, I'll also be looking out for some good phrasing, some awkward phrasing, misuses of the English language, and advising everyone on how to improve on their grammatical wise speaking talents. I'll also be listening for the word of the day, which is macabre. I think I pronounced that correctly. Give me a sec to put that in the chat. Please use this, and hopefully for our spooktacular meeting tonight, we'll have a lot of spooktacular fun using macabre. And let's have a lot of fun with that.
Thank you very much, William. And next, I will pass it to our timer of the day, Janya.
Hello, everyone. I will be the timer for the day. I'll be noting down the amount of time that you have used to speak, the speeches, the table topics, and the evaluations. I will show a green background when you're in the right time, yellow when you have to start stopping anything you were about to speak, and red for when you have to stop. Thank you, and back to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Janya. And then finally, I will pass it to our general evaluator of the day, Harriet.
Thank you, Toastmaster Claire. Rachel couldn't make it tonight, so obviously I'm filling in. As the general evaluator, I will be providing an evaluation of the meeting as a whole and pointing out all the faults that we had during the meeting. That is very important. But in all seriousness, I will just be evaluating the evaluation portion and the meeting as a whole. Back to you, Toastmaster Claire.
Thank you so much, Harriet. And then next, exciting, is our speech portion of tonight's meeting. Our first speaker of the night is Kara. Kara, take it away.
Okay, sorry, I don't know why I thought I was the second speaker, so just give me a moment. Okay. Is it just me, or has everyone had a peak community experience? some random homeroom or club or events that just hit that sweet spot in energy, where the group dynamics were just right and everyone felt so connected and happy in pursuit of a common goal that the journey truly became its own reward. I had an experience like that recently, and today I would like to detail my experience in the cast and crew, with the cast and crew of my fall play, and what the community there was like. So let's start at the beginning. Because I've enjoyed acting for many years, I decided to join the fall play. So I sent in my audition tape during the summer. And after a week, I got a message back telling me that I was being called back to audition in person. So picture this. I had never gone to anything like a callback before, and I didn't know what to expect. I was very nervous. And to add on, I didn't know anyone who was going to be auditioning, so I couldn't ask any experienced person what it was going to be like. So I walked in and I sat down, and I nervously waited while everyone else began arriving. But even as I had all these nerves, my nerves also eventually began to dissipate, because as more and more people walked in, they were talking to each other and being friendly overall. They introduced themselves to me and I introduced myself back. And this awareness of others and this friendliness inspired something within me. So I continued the callback with a bit more confidence. And as it turns out, I got a role that I at first was not very happy with. But whereas in the past I might have grown a tad resentful, this time I did not, because I was affected by these people that I was around. Even though it was just for a little bit, the way that acting is and the way the structure encourages kindness made me inspired to take on my role and give it everything I had. So I continued on, and eventually I arrived at my first rehearsal. And here I was nervous for an entirely different reason. What I was nervous about was something less audition related and much more socially related, because as I mentioned, I did not know anybody, and I was now realizing that I was facing the possibility of spending 2 months with watching a group of people who were already friends with each other, seeing them have fun, and me just being sadly on my own. Luckily, this emotionally macabre fear of mine did not come to fruition, because drama kids, at least in my experience, are of a different breed. And even though they already were friends with each other, they still talked to me. So at the end of the rehearsal, just like with every rehearsal, as I would find, the drama teacher asked us to give her 3. That is 3 compliments from 3 students to 3 other students. And a ton of hands went up. There was never a lack of kindness to go around, and this only deepened my admiration for everyone there. Eventually, the show week rolled around, and this is where I found out about cast traditions. These were things that we did every time before we put on a show, and they included things such as chanting a word over and over, passing around a bunch of notebooks taped together. And as strange as they seemed to outsiders, these traditions became all the more special to me, because they solidified that I was part of this community that had existed for so long and that I now got to be a part of. To top it all off, at the end of everything, there was a cast party that I attended and had a lot of fun at. So over the course of this experience, me being the way I am, I got a bit caught up in the excitement of it all, and I grew to see the experience as somewhat of a perfect and untainted memory. And now, with a bit more distance from it, looking back, I can see that I was certainly idealizing it to some extent. But still, the emotional impact that it had on me is undeniable. So I asked myself, what sets this apart for me? What sets it apart from something like my robotics team or my writing club? And the answer, of course, is the community, something as intangible and evasive as a ghost that doesn't work sometimes, but sometimes just works. As good as any play is, the curtains eventually have to close. So when I was on my way back from the cast party, I cried. I cried because it was over and I felt like I hadn't enjoyed it fully enough, and now it was too late. And I was sad for letting something that seemed so special slip by, and scared that I would never get it back again. Because the sheer good vibes of the community were still unbelievable to me. But now, not so much. Because what I realized is this community that I found can exist anywhere. There doesn't need to be some special group of people. There just needs to be enough people who are trying in order to make everyone else want to try their best as well. Someone started those traditions, and someone began trying to include everyone and not just talk to the people they already knew. And that someone could be you, in whatever group you find yourself in. You have the power to kindle that spark that will eventually be nurtured by everyone. And that fire can brighten up a dimness in everyone's lives that all your eyes had just grown too adjusted to. So in the end, what I learned is that happiness grows inside communities that are so beautiful and so positive that they sometimes seem to thwart existence. But these communities need not be hard to find, because they can be created by anyone, anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kara, for your amazing speech. Definitely, it has inspired us to learn about your experiences and even reflect on our own in our own unique journeys. Now I will pass it to our table topics evaluator of the day, Alex. Alex, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Claire. I just want to check if my microphone's working. I just changed it, so okay, that's good. Today's table topics theme will be kind of Halloween related and story related and a situation. So I'll call out a name and then I'll read the question to you. So be ready. My first question will be for Janya. You find yourself trapped in a haunted house. What's your first step to find a way out?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, no worries. You find yourself trapped in a haunted house. What's your first step to find a way out?
Oh no, I was sleeping and I woke up and I ended up being in a haunted house, which looks like an haunted house, but I'm not sure if it's a haunted house. So I start running all over the place, making a random noise and shouting. Well, there's a phone, there's an old TV, which works if I on it, but I wasn't brave enough to go and on it. I see the remote right in front of my eyes. Even though I wanted to entertain myself or like use the TV remote to break the walls, I was too scared to touch the remote. So I just passed by it. I run upstairs thinking I could jump out of a window, but I don't see any windows. All there is a huge, massive door with a key. Well, obviously, I didn't get inside because it looked creepy. And I went back down, and there was nothing downstairs. The phone vanished, and the TV vanished too. Well, the remote I remember touching also vanished. So I run, and I run, and I never find an ending. I just keep on running. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Janya, for your response. Next question will be for Napoleon. You stumble, oh, that's the wrong question. A ghost appears and demands a riddle to let you leave. What riddle do you ask?
I am seated in my throne here in Versailles around 2 a.m. France time. And I was preparing my latest battle plan, my invasion to Russia, when suddenly, out of the blue, there appeared a ghost. It was not a white ghost, like you might see in a book. It was instead a ghost that was almost transparent and had the shape of a human being. And I recognized it was my good friend, Reginald, who we had lost in a battle about 3 months ago. And why had we lost? It was because I had pushed my army to continue fighting, even when it seemed like we would not win. But of course, Napoleon always wins, and we pushed through. But my friend perished. My friend asked me a riddle. He told me, I need you to give me a riddle, or else I will not leave your presence, and your battle plans will never be fulfilled. And the riddle I give you is this. When you battle against the British, what will you do wrong? Now, this riddle was a little bit concerning. One, I've not been planning to battle the British yet, because I am focused on Russia. But then I think, what can I do wrong when battling the British? I will use my same strategies. I will be bold. I will be courageous. I will continue to say that we will win, even in the face of adversity. I will be bold. I will be a little bit arrogant because we need to motivate our troops. I will predict the future. I will write on a sheet of paper and give it to my troops that we will win this battle against the British. And that is what I told him. And he laughed. He laughed a sinister laugh. And he left. And I tried not to think much of it. But perhaps I will make a mistake. But Napoleon never makes a mistake. And I will simply treat this as a nocturnal vision and never give it another thought. Thank you, and back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Napoleon, for your little ghost story. My next Halloween-related question will be directed towards Michelle. You stumble upon a group of witches. How do you convince them to help you escape?
I was walking through a graveyard because I just had to be, and my friends, of course, they just wanted to meet up there. And then I stumbled upon a house. When I entered, I saw 3 tall, wicked-looking ladies around a bubbling cauldron. I froze as they all looked at me, asking me in raspy voices, "What are you doing here?" I hesitate before answering. "I need to get out," I said in a small little voice. They obviously didn't hear. How do I even convince them to leave by this point? Their scary black cats have locked the doors shut behind me. I think for a minute. What do witches like, besides poisoning and trying to kill me? They like apples, right? How about I grab one of their cats and threaten them? Like, "Let me out or I will kill your cat." No, I don't like violence like that. Then what do I do? Do I pour the bubbling cauldron on them? Do I convince them? Or do I just hold their cat as hostage? My throat closed. Ideas swarming my head and then leaving like bees. There's no really big option now. I suddenly ran for the door and tried opening the door but failed. The latches were shut closed. The witches gained upon me and I screamed. Until finding out that these witches were not witches and these were ladies trying to set up their house for Halloween. So they let me go. Yay! Oh my god. That's all, yeah.
Thank you for your response, Michelle. And your ladies trying to set up your little Halloween. My next question will be towards, all right, I'm gonna try to say this. Harriet Allison, I believe. You hear eerie howls outside the window. What's your plan to avoid whatever creature is out there?
I wake up in the middle of the night because I am a very light sleeper. I cannot sleep with any noise at all in this town. There is so much noise, but I've never heard anything like the horrible, eerie howls that are coming from outside. At first I assumed that it was just my son making noise as a Halloween prank, but no, he was fast asleep, so I figured out that it must have been some sort of wild animal that came into town. I thought there would only be one solution, and obviously I cannot be a part of it because people like me do not go around trying to catch wild animals. That, first of all, that is man's work, and second of all, it's poor people's work. But I suppose if I can't get anyone poor to go hunt out the wild animal, I'll ask my husband to do it because he has a gun. And a lady like me cannot go out there at night. It's dangerous. It would ruin my dignity. So I'll ask my husband to get his gun, go out, track down the wolf or whatever it is, and shoot it. I really don't think it's a werewolf. I think it's just a random wolf that needs to die, but everyone's probably going to think it's a werewolf, and I cannot understand why people would think such nonsense. Well, I'm just hoping that the beast will be rid of so I can finally go to sleep.
Thank you very much, Harriet, for that response. My next question will be directed to, all right, I think I'm gonna butcher this, or I'm not good at English. Cowpokey, I don't even know. Will?
Just cowpoke Will.
Cowpoke, okay, that was trash. Cowpoke Will, my question to you is, you accidentally break a witch's potion. What do you do to avoid her wrath and find a way out?
You see, it was a sunny evening down in the wild, wild west. I was riding my old horse, old mule, 50 miles from Tucson into the wilderness of Eastern California. And I came across this old ghost town called Little of Nowhere. Now, a sensible cowpoke like me usually knows when he sees something fishy. And I knew there that I saw something fishy. All of the shops deserted, not a soul in sight. An old piano in the salon, no one playing, but the keys moving. I thought, This is a strange, strange ghost town. Suddenly, I hear it. What could that be? Now, a usual cowpoke, when he gets frightened, man's up. So I man up too. I ride old Silver down the way that shriek came from, and I see it in the window of the old brewery. And there it is. 3 old wishes brewing a potion. But suddenly, as if drawn in, old Silver dashes in to the brewery and knocks over the potions. I'm completely freaked out, and the witches are not happy. They start to levitate old Silver toward the cooking pot. This can't be good. Now, I will say, a sensible cowpoke, when he's frightened, doesn't show he's frightened. So I saddle up with old Silver and we bolt out of that town. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Cowpoke. Will, I think I've got it down now, and for your very real accent. Now, my next question will be towards Claire. Ooh, my laptop is closed. Okay. A series of doors leads you deeper into a haunted mansion. How do you choose the right door to find your escape?
Suddenly, my eyes open, and I find myself standing in front of a huge, spooky, haunted mansion surrounded by doors. Each one looks as if it holds something very spooky and sinister. I see 3 doors. There's one on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right. I spin around 360 degrees to see if I can find any clues or hints. And as I expected, total darkness. No flashlights, no clues, nothing to help me solve the spooky mystery. So I stare at the 3 doors leading me into the mansion. I stare a little harder and think to myself, which one should I choose? When suddenly I hear a ghostly whisper behind me. It whispers that safety is not behind the right door. So if safety is not behind the right door, then it must be behind the left door or the middle door. So I think a little harder. And using my brilliant logic, I predict that it can't be any of the right doors. So it must be the left door. So I open the left door and I step through. Suddenly, it leads me to a beautiful garden with sunshine, no more darkness, and just happy flowers, and no thoughts or memories of what I experienced. Thank you, and back to you, Alex.
Thank you very much, Claire. And that will be our last question for this table topic section, as I have till 33, which then means that it's time for Harriet to take it away.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Alex. We are early, which is good. Now I will be calling on the speech evaluator, Napoleon.
Thank you, Harriet. Kara, great speech today on community and how community through theater impacted your life. My evaluation tonight will be divided into 3 parts. The first part is what you did good. The second part, what you could improve. And the third, what you can challenge yourself with. First off, you started with a great opening. You helped us think of our own experiences that made an impact on our lives. You showed us a story, the story of your audition and all of the surrounding events. And that pulled us in and helped us to concentrate and focus on your message. You also had great emotion throughout your speech. It was clear that you were passionate about your story. Further, I also liked how you used lots of great literary expression. For example, the curtains had to close, and then you were very sad that the theater program was over. That added a lot to your speech and really increased our attention to your speech. Now to what you can improve on. I have a suggestion that perhaps you could slow down just a little bit. I noticed that sometimes you stuttered slightly, and I also noticed that you were speaking a little bit at a rapid pace a few times. So if you slow down your speech in musical terms, just a few clicks of the metronome, I think that'll be great and will help you speak with a lot more fluidity, and you won't really stutter as much. You had great vocal variety, and I would challenge yourself to experiment with low tones. Throughout your speech, you had some high tones, some normal tones, and some low tones I think would add even more vocal variety, and I felt like you could have just used a little bit more low tones, perhaps during a low point in your speech. And further, to challenge yourself even more, I would suggest to start with the end in mind. You gave us a story and all of that was great, but your theme about communicating didn't really, your theme about community didn't really come into the speech until about halfway to the end. So maybe just consider putting the theme about community a little bit more in the spotlight at the beginning of the speech. Other than that, congratulations on a great speech. It was very moving and inspiring for us, and I hope to hear another speech from you soon. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator Harriet.
Thank you, Napoleon. That was definitely very good feedback with improvements and good points. Now we will be moving on to Cowpoke Will's grammarian report.
Cowpokes, welcome to the wild, wild west, where there's no stutters, there's no hesitation, there's no pauses, there's no overtime, and I'll try to not to be overtime too. Okay, I'd first like to commend all of y'all for basically not having any stutters, any filler words tonight. I'd like to start with Kara. Kara, you did such an amazing job. Only one stutter, one repeat, and catch this, macabre. One word of the day. I would have liked to see everyone use word of the day, including me, macabre, more. Moving on to Kara's use of the English language. First of all, I'd like to commend her on intangible and evasive as a ghost, and solidified that I was this part of the community. This and active words helps to strengthen the meaning of your speech as a whole. Great job, Cowpoke Kara. Moving on to Alex. Alex, no stutters, no hesitation. You're a true cowpoke of the Old West. You've got 2 pauses. Pauses are fine. Everyone has pauses. Even I have pauses as I'm sitting here on Old Silver. I thought that you also did a great job with putting in that Old West term, macabre. Word of the day. Very good. Moving on to Janya. Janya, Cowpoke Janya. I'd like to say that overall the grammar was great, but I did catch one count of awkward grammar when you are talking about the old television in the parlor. Instead of saying go and on it, perhaps instead you could use old West language and instead say go and turn it on. Moving on to Napoleon. Napoleon, you had very good and astute Macabre uses of greatest battle plan, and your Macabre story certainly spooked me. But remember, if a cowpoke is scared, he doesn't show it. Moving on to Michelle. I thought that you did a great job at describing that bubbling cauldron. I did think, though, that if you could improve on using word of the day, and this goes for Mr. Napoleon too. Word of the day, use Macabre more. Moving on to Cowpoke Harriet Olsen, or should I say Mrs. Olsen. I thought that you had an interesting use of the English Old West language when you said poor people's work. Now, does that make me a poor person too? Oh well. Moving on to Claire. Spooky and sinister. Great uses of those descriptors. Lots of pauses, but as I say, better a pause than hesitation. Still no word of the day. That's something that all y'all folks need to improve on to do better here in the Old West. And finally, back to Napoleon. Mr. Napoleon, I thought that you had a good use of pauses similar to Cowpoke Claire, but I thought that you could have done better in terms of phrasing some of your words. For example, increasing our tension, maybe perhaps building up the tension of the situation would have been a better phrase to describe the feelings. And I didn't really like how you used thing about community. I think you clarified it later and said theme, but never use thing. Never use thing. Even as a proper European coming to the Old West, do not use thing. But that is all I have for tonight's Grammarian report. And I'd like to go back to, I'd like to take it back and return all silver over to Napoleon? Oh no, over to Mrs. Olsen.
Thank you for being more proper when addressing me. All right, we will be moving on to Josh's timer report.
Thank you, Harriet. So the speech portion, Kara, we had only one speech. So Kara had 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Table topics. Myself, I had 1 minute 37 seconds. Napoleon had 2 minutes 59 seconds. That was Michelle had 1 minute 58 seconds. Harriet had 1 minute 51 seconds. Cowpoke Will had 2 minutes 20 seconds. Claire had 2 minutes 11 seconds. And coming to the evaluations, speech evaluator Napoleon had 2 minutes 35 seconds. And our grammarian Cowpoke Will had 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Timer Johnny, for that report. And for those of you who went overtime, not good. Anyway, I will be evaluating the entire meeting. Now, I think my standards are very high, but honestly, It was a pretty good meeting. We did run on schedule. The speech given by Kara was very inspiring. The table topics were very macabre and amazing. And the evaluations and functionary reports were also up to my standards. And I do not have much to say, but it sounds like Napoleon has a few ideas in the chat box, so I will be returning control to him.
Thank you, Harriet, for your evaluation. Now is the time for our in-character speeches. If you have a costume and would like to give a short 1-minute speech about yourself, please go ahead and do so. It seems like we already have a volunteer with our beloved Cowpoke Will. Also, Miss Olsen, perhaps you would like to participate. And Kara, I'm not sure if you would like to participate as well. You can just wing it. It's not a contest. It's just for the fun of everyone. And if I'm missing anyone, please let me know. But if not, we can begin. So let me create a quick order. So randomize. Kara, William, Napoleon, and our last person is Miss Olson. I am using the aid of a Western technology called ChatGTP to create a random order because I do not trust my own order. So the order is as follows. First, we will have Miss Olsen. Next, it will be myself, Napoleon. We also have Cowpoke Will following that, and to top it off, we will have Kara. So, would Miss Olsen like to begin her 1-minute speech?
Thank you, Mr. Napoleon Bonaparte. Many of you may not know me, but that is because I come from a different time. And of course, I traveled into the future because I believe advancement with technology is very important. But I come from the East. I come from a very rich background. And I'm the co-proprietor of a general store, Olson's Mercantile. Everyone should know about it. I run it with my much less competent husband, and my children are the most perfect people in the whole world, and they're so incredibly misunderstood, especially my perfect daughter, Nellie. I'm also quite misunderstood myself, and many people in the town don't like me because they find me overbearing, but I'm in no way overbearing. So I'm hoping that you all hearing my side of the story, that you'll choose to side with me over those in town who finds me faulty. And you should all shop at Olson's Mercantile because it's the finest general store for miles around. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. Not sure I've seen your store. I hope you're not offended, but I'm not quite sure, and perhaps we will have to see about that. Now it is my turn to be the speech. Hello, future leaders. I am Napoleon Bonaparte, your emperor, and I have a little time to share a few remarks with you. But I'm emperor, and I will speak for as long as I want, because I'm emperor. Now, I hear we have some Americans here. I also hear you have an election coming up. I also hear that Americans have a little politic problem. Let me give you a little tip. You don't need president. President, bad. President, spend money. President, divide people. You only need emperor. Emperor, unite people. As your emperor, I will unite Americans, to a common goal. Together, we will march to the Isle of Britain, attack like a Macabre storm, and we will... No, Britain is America's ally? Ugh. We will march. We will complete the march to Russia. We will finish the conquest of their... Wait, Russia is America's ally? Who is not America's ally? We will march together to the Isle of North Korea. We will attack and dethrone their ruler, and we will show the world that the French, with the help of the American people, are the true world powers. This is my pledge. This is my promise to the American people. Let me be your emperor, or else. Thank you, and back to you, Napoleon. Thank you, Napoleon, for your speech. And now we will go on to our next speaker of tonight, which is forgive me, I do not know much about Western American frontierish slang. You know, I did sell some land to the Americans because it's not worth much at all. But I would now like to call on Cowpoke Will.
Howdy, future leaders, and thank you to the great Emperor Napoleon. Now, I'd like to say that when my forefathers came to this continent, they were allied with the French, and the French got us our independence. They let us buy the Grand Louisiana Purchase, and then the French proceeded to try to impress our sailors through the XYZ affair, and then we engaged in a quasi affair. So, as a grassroots American, don't trust that man to be your emperor. Remember that the American dream is to keep on expanding. And how do you do that? If you've got some colonial general trying to take advantage of your nation's weakness. Well, I would like to propose that America keeps on with the manifest destiny. You see, when my forefathers came to this continent, they settled in Georgia, they settled in South Carolina, and now in the year 1830, we've been expanding westward and outward. We've currently been at some conflicts with Mexico, which we do think that this whole big massive land that's north of the Rio Grande, that's our land. But I'm gonna be clear, we're going to keep expanding westward, and with help from frontiersmen like me. Remember, I'm a cowpoke. I'm a frontiersman. I'm out in New Mexico and Arizona, where I used to live in Oklahoma, but Oklahoma was too civilized for me. So why not go on to Arizona and New Mexico and find a new life? Well, that's exactly what I did. And year by year, Americans were trickling out towards the west, and maybe one day all of this grand land shall be ours. After all, this land is your land, and this land is my land. And as the owner of Roundup Ridge Ranch here in Tucson, Arizona, I'd like to say that this is truly the land of opportunity.
Thank you, Cowpoke Will, for your response. Well done, but I still disagree with a few of those unfortunate little accusations against me. They are unfounded. Do not listen to him. Just let him roam in the frontiers of Arizona. Now, onto our last speech of the night. We will have Kara.
Hello. in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what I am. I just threw something random on, but I think it could be likened to something like a female Robin Hood, I suppose. See, there's a hood. So, as female Robin Hood, I would like to encourage all of you good American citizens to neither let yourselves be overtaken by Napoleon nor encourage the current state of your country. I see this upcoming Hallows Eve of yours as a great opportunity. You see, this is the time where everybody's houses will have their front doors unlocked, ready to just dish out candy to the masses. And this is your opportunity to go ahead and just to steal things from everybody's houses. So I encourage you all tomorrow night to, instead of going around and just taking candy, you should all learn overnight how to steal from houses so that you may do so appropriately tomorrow. And once you've stolen everything from your fellow neighbors, you should then take what you have stolen and you should give it to the poorest people in your community. Of course, you should also, I know some of you have a lot of money, so you should also steal from yourselves and give that to the poor as well. In fact, instead of giving out free candy to children, the children will be fine. You should give instead money to the poor. In any case, tomorrow, I'm sure all of you will follow my advice and you shall steal from all the houses that you encounter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Robin Hood, for your excellent speech. Perhaps I should do a little bit more with my riches here in Versailles. Let me ponder. Actually, no. I will give it all to my military fund, and we will continue the quest to conquer more land. This time we will go to Britain, and I will battle against that man whom is that in the British army, and he is just someone who I can easily beat. But Kara, thank you for your thoughts, and perhaps in a second life, I will put them to practice. All right, this concludes our little in-character speeches. Congratulations, everyone did an amazing job. That was really fun. Cowpoke Will, Kara, and Harriet, that was really great. We'll probably have to do this next time, next Halloween, so whoever's president next year around this time, it'll be really fun to maybe do this again. So I'll just give some closing remarks. We had a great meeting tonight, and thank you everyone for participating. Kara, great speech, and Alex, great table topic session, Halloween themed table topic session. Other than that, I think just everyone did a great person. Everyone did a great job, and Leonardo, definitely come join us if you are still available at this time. We are a very fun group, and the most important thing is that we are always improving our speaking and leadership skills. Other than that, remember to invite your friends to the FLGC so that they can also experience the growth and fun that all of you have been experiencing. And before we officially adjourn the meeting, does anyone have any questions, comments, or feedback about the meeting tonight? If so, please open your mic and share your thoughts. Janya?
My mic was open from a long time.
Oh, no worries. All right, any feedback, anything you'd like to say? All right. If not, currently around midnight here in France, I would like to officially call this meeting to a close. Thank you everyone for coming, and we will see everyone here next Wednesday in my palace of Zoom Versailles. Thank you, and have a great rest of your week.